It's been made official. Goldberg makes his WWE return, and he is facing Gunther on WWE Saturday Night's main event, July 12th, going head-to-head with AEW's All In. And, man, I gotta say it, huh? This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
Let's talk about it. So Goldberg has made a very expected return to the WWE. We've seen this writing on the wall for a long time now. We just didn't know how we were going to get there. And Gunther comes out this past Monday on WWE Raw, and I thought Alicia Taylor called him like a Freudian slip. It sounded like she was trying to say Goldberg a little bit. It sounded like she was saying like Gunther. So I thought I was tripping. Maybe I was tripping, but it really sounded like she was like Freudian slipping a little bit with the Goldberg. And Gunther comes out and cuts a promo and basically begs Seth Rollins to come cash in so he ain't got a job to Goldberg on Saturday night's main event. You know what I mean? But
bitch, you heard me.
It looks like we're going to get the match. This is the match that's been a year in the making, give or take, right? And we've been anticipating this match. A lot of people expected us to get this match at WrestleMania. Looks like we're going to get it on network television, a part of NBC's deal with Saturday night's main event. And I'm going to be honest, I don't mind the idea of the match. I know it's going to probably be the drizzling shits, not as bad as it could have been, like as Goldberg against John Cena. Now we're gonna talk about that. Stick around because we're gonna talk about why we're not getting John Cena and Goldberg and how I feel like we should be getting John Cena and Goldberg. But Gunther comes out, cuts his promo, and I thought he was gonna say, Goldberg, you have this title match, but you have to come to Saudi Arabia to get it. So that's my Gunther right there. That's the best I can do. But he was basically, I thought he was gonna, goad Goldberg into accepting a match at Night of Champions. Looks like we're getting it at Saturday night's main event. It's gonna be for the title, and spoiler, this we should have known this was coming once Gunther beat Jey Uso on Raw, and everybody was all shocked because Goldberg, he's coming back for a reason. Now pay attention to the merchandise he's got. It says on the merchandise Goldberg's last ride. It doesn't say his last match. So Paul Levesque and Goldberg in conjunction, they're coming out there and they're telling you basically stick around because this is going to be a ride. We're going to take you on a roller coaster ride, right? So they're basically building up this idea that this isn't going to be Goldberg's last match on July the 12th. This is going to be the first of a few matches that he's potentially going to have before the end of the year, before he retires. So this year we're going to have Goldberg retire and we're going to have John Cena retire. Now, if you've been following my channel for a while, or if you're new here and you're staying true here, go ahead and hit the like button so that you can stay up to date and you can catch up with your boy here in the portal of pro wrestling. But I had spoken about this weeks ago about potentially having John Cena against Goldberg and why they didn't decide to pull the trigger and have that match in Saudi Arabia at Night of the Champions instead of John Cena against CM Punk. However, they decided to go with Gunther and Goldberg. I understand where they went there as far as tying the story, the loose end of what happened in Atlanta in October with Goldberg and Gunther. I don't mind that. That makes a lot of sense. However, Saudi Arabia is all about the big money matchups. Goldberg against John Cena is a match that has eluded the WWE for decades. I don't know a lot of people are clamoring for that match. I'm going to keep it a thou-wow, okay? I don't know a lot of people that wanted that match, but now you have an interesting situation where John Cena is actually a heel now. He's actually a bad guy, something that we didn't think we were ever going to see after, the way that he had his run as the top guy as Super Cena. We didn't think we were ever going to see a heel Cena, and now that we have it, Goldberg against John Cena is possible. And it coincides. I mean, come on, look at the parallels here. They're both riding off into the sunset. So why wouldn't you target that type of a match? Now, the reason why I felt like Saudi Arabia would have been the perfect place for a match like this is because of the way that the crowd would more than likely respond to it in America. Okay? It would be the drizzling shits. We all know that. John Cena, God bless him, he's worked his tail off. He's a phenomenal entertainer. He had went off to Hollywood for a long time, and I'm telling you, they really are working to make sure that he can get through this year without getting hurt. And I understand why. And Goldberg, the same way. I mean, if you watched him come out and challenge Gunther, he was limping. He had, and I'm not talking about the gangsta lean. I'm not talking about the pimp walk. He looked hurt, because there's no doubt in my mind that Goldberg is training so hard for this comeback, and he really wants to look good, feel good, and look like a beast, because that's how he is. That's how he's always been. So I have no doubt in my mind that he's trying to get to that level of training and endurance and being ready for this battle. When you mix the two, they're off a step. You know what I mean? It couldn't be a long match. You're not going to get a 12-minute John Cena Goldberg match. But in Saudi Arabia, with that backdrop, these are two icons of different eras. You've got Goldberg from the Attitude Era. You got John Cena from the Ruthless Aggression Era. So why not have those two collide in Saudi Arabia in a match that everybody would know would be huge and a blockbuster event? Instead, we're getting CM Punk and John Cena, a match that I felt like should have been at SummerSlam, or at the very least Money in the Bank, and potentially getting Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton, but more on that later. And it looks like they're punting the idea of Goldberg against John Cena. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Goldberg is going to win that world championship at Saturday night's main event. He's not losing his comeback match. I think it's been about 3 years since he's had a match. He's not going to lose that match. He's coming back. He's going to win. But there's a caveat. The caveat is Seth Rollins cashing in his Money in the Bank on Saturday night's main event. There's no other way that they're going to get through this alive. But I'm telling you, they're trying really hard to get the crowd behind Goldberg here. They're putting it in Atlanta, Georgia. But they need to be prepared for Seth Rollins to get a huge pop. Not because they are cheering Seth Rollins because they like him. They're cheering Seth Rollins for the Money in the Bank cash in, and the stigma behind that. But that crowd is going to go crazy when Seth Rollins comes in. And I'm going to tell you something that's also going to blow your mind. What if Braun Breaker spears Goldberg before Seth Rollins cashes it in? Now imagine for a second, Goldberg's got the championship, he's doing the celebration, and then all of a sudden Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker come in and they attack Goldberg. Braun Breaker hits that spear, and just before Bronson Reed does the tsunami, or maybe he even does the tsunami, Seth Rollins then comes in, cashes in, gets the easy 1-2-3, and wins the championship in Goldberg's hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, and wins the championship. The next time you see Gunther, I would rather see him as a face. I think we are ending a certain chapter with Gunther right now. You're seeing him pay a lot of respects to his opponents. I think they're doing that because in a minute, we're going to see him as one of the most over faces in the company. And I think this is a test run for him as a good guy. For Goldberg, I think you move Goldberg from this championship win, this quick championship win, because Seth Rollins against Gunther wasn't going to work out. Goldberg against Jey Uso wasn't going to work out. You want to transition Goldberg immediately, take the title, hot shot it over to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins maybe play hot potato with the championship with Jey Uso and some of those, and CM Punk can be involved in this as well, I'm assuming. But Goldberg, to thwart his mission to get the championship back and to go after Seth Rollins, Goldberg has to go through Bronson Reed. Maybe he beats Bronson Reed, but then Goldberg has to go through Braun Breaker. And the history is there. It's wrought with history. I mean, you've got Goldberg against Rick Steiner was a big thing towards WCW in the late 90s. Goldberg against Big Papa Pump Scotty Steiner that was like huge in WWE and WCW. The story between the Steiners and Goldberg, it's a long history, long and storied history between those three individuals. Rick Steiner's son, Braun Breaker, his uncle, Scott Steiner. There's no better way to tie up this last Goldberg ride than to go after the son of one of his greatest rivals or the nephew of one of his greatest rivals in Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker also does the spear. So you've got spear versus spear, and Goldberg can then pass the spear torch to Braun Breaker. Master of the spear, Braun Breaker becomes. That's how I see it going. SummerSlam is a great opportunity for that. You get Goldberg one more time at SummerSlam. You don't have the championship on the line, because if you do the 2-night SummerSlam and you put one night with Goldberg as a champion and the other night with John Cena as the champion, I don't know if that's the type of business that the WWE wants to go down. I don't know if they want to go down that rabbit hole. I know they're in the business of entertainment. They're in the business of breaking records and everything, but I'm not sure that Goldberg is the draw. I don't know if John Cena against the Cody Rhodes Part 2 is the draw, because their main event at WrestleMania was not critically acclaimed. Let's just put it that way. So I think they need to tread carefully with this, and I think the best way to do it, like I said, if they have to give Goldberg this win so that he can continue his momentum going into his last ride in the WWE, then you have him beat Gunther, you have Seth Rollins, have Braun and Bronson come out, put the boots to Goldberg, and then Seth Rollins wins after cash-in. Instead of Goldberg going for his rematch, he has to go through Bronson Reed, and then he goes through his matchup with Braun Breaker. I think Braun Breaker wins that matchup. And I think later on down the line, you can still find a way to get Goldberg in the ring with John Cena for the first time ever. They should not lose track of that option. That is a dream match. Whether or not it's the Drizzling Shits, okay, I get it. But that is a match that has never happened before. And if you don't think that the WWE even thought about that opportunity, you are tripping. They have thought about it. They have tossed it around. I'm sure Goldberg, he's going to want to win. And I know that John Cena, in order to continue his retirement, he's going to want to win. So I think in order to appease Goldberg right now, they have given him an opportunity to have one more championship reign, even if it's a 3-minute championship reign, get a win over Gunther, get his revenge, because Gunther kind of punked him last time they were in the ring together, and then still move on and eventually get to John Cena, where he loses to Braun Breaker and loses to John Cena. Hey, then he can still have his final match before the end of the year. So if he wants to go out with a win, if he wants to go out on his high horse, that is still something that's attainable. Maybe gets revenge on Seth Rollins. Maybe at the end of the year, Seth Rollins doesn't have the WWE Championship anymore, and it's Goldberg against Seth Rollins, and Goldberg gets the win. So you still have that as an option where Goldberg isn't going out as a loser, going out feeling defeated and feeling like something's missing. So he can have that, or maybe even have that rematch with Braun Breaker after SummerSlam. There's so many different options that he can go down. But if you're asking me, they need to do Goldberg and John Cena before the end of the year. And if they have to give Goldberg this win on NBC on Saturday night's main event, then you've got to pull the trigger and have Seth Rollins cash in that night or very soon thereafter. And I think the ultimate mission would be to get Braun Breaker and Goldberg at SummerSlam. But that's what I'm thinking. You guys let me know what you guys think. What do you think the outcome of Goldberg against Gunther will be on Saturday night's main event? You guys let me know in the comments. Thumbs up on the way out. Thanks for coming to the portal of pro wrestling. As always, I'm the Wrestling Old Head. Stay tuned for more.